So as a small business owner, all right, do you need to have a social media presence? Or is it not? Is it actually not necessary in order to make sales and to have a good business?
So definitely don't need social media to run a small business. Like totally not required. Advantageous, maybe, but definitely not required. I mean, I know, like I personally know plenty of people that are doing extremely well and have zero social media presence other than personal presence that has nothing to do with their business whatsoever.
Have you found?
And you would not know, and you would not know that they owned a business because they probably don't talk about it.
Like their business doesn't have a presence, or they don't?
Their business does not have one.
Okay.
And their presence on social media completely and totally does not indicate that they own a small business.
They might not even be on it.
They may not even, they might as well not even be on it for business purposes because the only way they use it has nothing to do with them being, like their personal use.
Is that your experience?
Yes and no. Yes, or let's start with no. I agree with Zach 100%. You do not need social media to be successful. But if you look at social media as a form of leverage, like anything else is a form of leverage, it's good and bad. It is a two-edged sword. And so, of course, can I use social media to get more exposure, get more people looking at me, more eyeballs, more traffic, more everything? 100%. That's a positive trend that social media will leverage or accelerate. At the same time, I have customers who have Facebook pages that they wish they didn't have because maybe I'll use something that's not true. Maybe somebody's got a buffet and they found some toxins in it or something. This never happened, by the way. But when that happens and that goes to your social media page and it's on there in the form of reviews and comments, really not anything you can do about it. And so your social media page is important if you're using it to leverage the positive, but you have to be intentional about it. And it has to make sense for your business. If I'm doing medical billing and that's my business, I probably don't need it. But if I'm dealing with consumers or my clients are on social media, I better get there and I better make sure that I do a good job with it.
But are small businesses then too reliant on social media? Are they using that as the thing? Like some of them, or like, do you find that some people are like they're on social media and they're not doing anything off of social media? Like, is that a problem? Is the reverse a problem?
100% the reverse is a problem because, like, I know just from personal experience, like, so I have a hack where if I want to like find out, like if I want to find a company's website or something like that, I'll actually use Apple Maps to go into and find information about them because it usually displays, phone number, where it is because that's what a map does, but it also displays their website. And so I'll skip that because like I'll just go there to find their website. I cannot tell you how many businesses only have a Facebook page or only have a Twitter page or only have a social media handle and they don't actually have a website and they don't actually have a like I own this space thing, right? They're borrowing it. And it's free platform. No, it's not. They're using you. Like that's the reality.
They control the rules 100%. And a lot of people actually start businesses and they think that the social media page is their business, which is a mistake. And that's the only type of business they conduct is through that social media page. I was at lunch with my brother the other day, Rob, and Rob and I were eating, and the young lady that was our server, she has a part-time business, and she makes, like, stickers and decals. Rob has a Jeep, so he loves stickers and decals. He's like, great, where can I find you? And she goes, you can find us on Instagram. And she pulls out her Instagram, and she shows him, and he's like, okay, so what's your website? Oh, we're going to get a website. We're gonna get an Etsy first, then we're gonna do a Facebook group, and then we hope to work our way up to a website. She is doing her business exactly in reverse because a sticker and a decal is something that she can sell to every person that she bumps into on the sidewalk, and she needs a place to go and send them that is hers. And right now, she's waiting for Instagram to send her people that are not hers. And that's kind of crazy. And she's not crazy. Wonderful lady. But she needs to actually build her business and accentuate it with social media. Instead, she's building social media and she's trying to accentuate it with a business. Not quite the same.
So it can be helpful. So how does a small person who say take that lady who has that, how would you integrate if you've already have some momentum in social media, say a Facebook group or an Instagram or whatever? What would you suggest to kind of integrate that so that you're not just relying on that platform?
I mean, like if you, there's so many website building platforms. There's so many. I mean, for her, probably Shopify, because you could, like, you're selling a physical product. Like it's a very user friendly platform. You know, I've used it. You've, like, the two of you have used it. It's not that hard. Like, it's pretty straightforward. Now, there's so many options. Not like 20 years ago where you have to know code. Like, it's like you could put a prompt into AI and it'll build you the page for you. Right away. You can get a nice looking page with not a lot of effort and not a lot of money into it, right? Like, yeah, do you need to buy a domain? Yes. Like, do you have to have some things hooked up? Yes. But most of those things, like, follow the directions. They're so simple now.
So you would then put your website onto your social media, so you get social medias as traffic, and then the website, you direct them to there to buy.
Yeah, I would definitely, like, and then that way, when you're bumping into people, you have a website, not an Instagram. You can tell them to follow you on Instagram as well. But, like, if you want to purchase something, if you'd like to buy that sticker, it goes, like, go here, not
especially with a product,
right? Not to my Instagram. And here's the trap. And I watch these companies do it. Like, they all do it. YouTube does it. Instagram did. Like, they all give you this option for this storefront thing. Well, guess what?
That's theirs too.
That's theirs too. It's not your customer. You're not gaining any of that information. Just like if you were putting products on Amazon, you are a distributor for Amazon. They're not your customers.
Do you know who validates what you're saying more than anything, Zach? TikTok. TikTok knows what you're saying is so true, and I'll tell you why. Because there is a phrase that anybody on TikTok understands, and the phrase is ink in IO. That's right, ink in IO. And what that means is it means link in bio. But you could not say link in bio without having your account suspended on TikTok for the longest time, because they knew that you were sending people to the bio to click the link to go to Zach's site, Mark's site, Laura's site, and instead they are leaving TikTok. And so TikTok knew the power of your ink in IO was so strong that they just forbid you from using it. That should be confirmation enough to go build your site and get your ink in IO.
That's hilarious. Of course, I don't know that because I don't have, you don't
have IOC.
that. I don't have that thing that might get banned or might not, so, like, I had no idea that even existed, but I know it's true because I've heard of people, like, and have bumped into people that, like their ads account shut down.
Yep.
Just, like, for no reason.
Or just their regular account.
Or their regular
Facebook
account.
Facebook group banned.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Instagram
Like, you get
shut off.
Yeah.
Matter.
All those things. And it's a crazy risk. And you chase this thing that doesn't matter. Right. Like, look at how many followers I have. How many customers do you have?
People who consider their business making money off of the platform? Like, hey, I get paid out by YouTube.
Like, great. I think that you should do that. Like, I truly believe, like, that you should take advantage of those things. Like, there's no reason not to take advantage of it. Like, if you're putting out content, you're providing value for that platform. Like, that is what, but you have to consider it as, I am getting paid to do this task, right? Like, if you think about what is YouTube? YouTube is a giant television platform, right? Well, you have to pay the people that put out content. So that's how they do it. That's how they get people to put out content, is they pay them. They pay them a small percentage. I don't know what the exact percentage is, but I'm sure it's very small compared to what they get paid in ad revenue. And that's great. Like, but if you think that that is your business, and we've bumped into those people before too, right? Like we've run and talked to people that have millions of subscribers and they have no other source of revenue except for YouTube. Dangerous. It becomes, on a level that you don't even understand.
It becomes the pet lion licking the owner's hand. You know about the pet lion licking the owner's hand, right?
I don't know that, but I don't want that to happen. Like I don't I don't even need the rest of the story. A lion licking my hand is dangerous.
Well, luckily in this story it worked out in a nick of time. But I will tell you, a guy has a pet lion and he's sitting there like we are right here, and his pet lion is right here, and his very courageous friend is right there, and they're just having a conversation, and the lion's just licking his hand, licking the guy's hand. And, the lion he said, why do you have a lion? He said, well, for protection, and he's safe. He's this beast. He's strong. And anybody comes in here, they're not going to make it out. They're not going to make it out safely. And the lion's just licking the owner's hand. And so his friend, while talking to him, reaches down to beside him and pulls out a rifle and shoots the lion. And so the lion's owner's like, what is wrong with you? Do you know how much I paid for that lion? Do you know how many years it took me to train that lion? You just killed the best thing that I have ever had as a companion. And the guy goes, yeah, I hear you. Look at your hand. And he looks at his hand, and his hand is covered with blood, Zach, because the lion has hairy barbs on his tongue, and it started to make the guy's hand bleed. And once the lion got a taste of that blood, those jaws opened up and he expanded, and he was about to get a whole scooping helping of his owner. But for the owner's friend, Zach, pulled out the rifle and shot him. Well, in this example, Shopify, YouTube, and Instagram and TikTok, they are the lion. We think that powerful machine is only here for us until it gets a taste of our blood, and it does not have any problem eating us. I got worked up, Zach. You got to calm me down.
Amen to that.
You got to calm me down.
Amen to that. Like, there's no universe in which I'm owning a lion. Like, I've owned cats before, and they get a little they get a little lioness. They get feisty out of nowhere, and they will bite you out of nowhere. I don't need one that weighs 4 times as much as me getting feisty out of nowhere and biting me. Like, there's just So, anyways.
Speaking of lions and feisty and things eating you, let's talk a little bit about what's happening in the government right now. Okay.
Uh-oh.
And,
I didn't know this was political.
Oh, it's not.
Oh, okay, good. Because my up-to-dateness on current events in the political realm is bad.
I do want to know is, do you think small businesses are receiving enough support from the government? And there's so many layers to that. But Mark, I know you follow political things, and I know that you have some opinions on this. So tell me, how do you feel about what the government does or does not do for small businesses?
Great question on what the government does for small businesses. I would say the government has wonderful systems in place for small businesses. They've got the SBA, which is the Small Business Administration. They have SBA loans, the 7A, which will give you up to $5 million or lend you up to $5 million, 80% of it backed by the government. That's fantastic. They've got the 8A program, which allows people to have government contracts. And all that is wonderful. Now, most of those things that I just mentioned are just not really happening so much right now because the focus has shifted. And, there's an old saying that represents America's government. It's for the people, by the people. And I would say right now that it's a little bit from the people and by the people, because the focal point of the government, the businesses that the government wants to connect with, they do want to connect with business. It just happens to be big business. And it's kind of like in 1993, I went to open a bank account at Bank of America before they were Bank of America. I think it was, I forgot what the name of it was, but it was one of the big ones that Bank of America bought out. And I told them I wanted this for my business. I tried to borrow $7,000, and they literally laughed in my face because they don't want small businesses. They don't. I'm not their customer. I am a burden that they put up with so that they can have their ideal customer, which is Fortune 500 companies. And the government has kind of taken on that attitude when it comes to business, and that's fine, but the government is enthralled with big business, and so a lot of the things that small businesses have become accustomed to will not immediately be available to them. And that's just something we have to come to grips with, but that's okay, because it might actually help good small businesses and good entrepreneurs be more resourceful.
Yeah.
And so if I can't go and get an SBA-backed loan, then I better become a better negotiator. If I can't get an 8A contract, let's say, that is, typically set aside a small portion of government contracts for women or minorities or disabled people, and that's not available to me, well, then I better get better at making my business more presentable on paper. I better get cleaner books. I better get a better track record. I better get better recommendations. I better get access to better pricing. So it's going to make me be a better small business, even though I'm not crazy about the reason. I think the owner that rolls up his sleeves and says, regardless of this environment that does not care so much about me, I am going to emerge victorious because I'm going to make my business fantastic. And so I think that's an opportunity that exists for all of us. But do not be disenchanted and go sit on the couch and cry yourself to sleep because you wake up one day and you realize that the government does not care about the success of your small business. They do not.
Well, and we were talking about this the other day, all of us, I believe. And I don't remember when I was a kid. I mean, I'm 40 now. I don't know when I was.
You are?
Wow. So I don't remember when I was a kid, small businesses relying on the government. I thought like small businesses, they were very self-reliant. And I think that was kind of why they went into business for themselves anyways. They didn't want government assistance. They wanted to do it on their own. So like, when did that change? Why did that change? And is it a good thing that it did change, or do we need to go back to where we came from?
The big businesses have so I wouldn't say all of my life, but all of my adult life, businesses have been able to get assistance from the government. Big business was able to get help from the government. If you think about Lee Iacocca running Chrysler Corporation into the ground and then the government fishing
But those are bigger businesses.
back up. Yeah, that was big business. But the SBA has been there. And the SBA has been there, and they've been making loans, but they're not really doing anything for the small businesses any more than the FHA does for a home buyer. Sure. They're guaranteeing loans. That business has to pay the loan back. That business has to, generate the profits and become successful. And so that is what they were there for. In recent years, business relying on the government has gone into overdrive. Okay. Because most people who view themselves as fiscally conservative have always hated government intervention. And I noticed in about 2020, people didn't hate it anymore. And I think they didn't hate it is because free money was being bandied about to businesses of all sizes.
And they were scared, too.
Yeah. Shake Shack got a $2 million PPP loan. Like that doesn't even make sense. Shake Shack's a publicly traded company.
The illusion of free money.
Yes.
Like I think that's probably one of those things, and I remember, because I wasn't a business owner at that time. I was working in a manufacturing place, and I remember all the people that I worked with were like, "Yeah, man, I got this check," and I'm like, "Y'all gonna pay for that check later?" Like, I'm telling you, you don't realize, like, you think you're getting free money, but you're not. You're gonna pay for it, and here we are. I don't know about y'all, but my grocery bill has at least doubled since 2020.
100%.
And so I would have rather not got the $2,000 or whatever the check was that they sent us in the mail, and I'd have rather kept my inflation down. But that's just my opinion. But I think, what I've always recognized is, or not always recognized, but what I've realized probably later in my adulthood, was how many big businesses are subsidized by the government.
100%.
And it's insane because you're basically awarding people to make poor decisions.
100%.
And so there is, like the Lee Iacocca thing, like there is no, like it's basically like having a kid and saying, yeah, it's okay. If you break it, I'll just buy you a new one. Right. And so that kid no longer has responsibility. Like they don't make the same decisions they would as if they had to reap the actual consequences of running a business into the ground. Like that's crazy to me.
From the people, by the people.
Right. And but there's so many, right? There's so many that are subsidized that people don't realize, like, basically we are covering that bill.
Right.
You know, in the form of taxes, we're paying for the Chrysler company to stay around. Right. We're paying for Hollywood to make movies.
So we pay them twice?
We pay them at least twice.
And here's the thing, the small business, okay, so let me back up before I even talk about the small business. So the small business, when I say small, if your business is generating less than $500,000 a year, forget about it. You're nobody as far as real support from the systems that are in place. The big businesses, I mean, I had a customer that had an $8 million business that got two $500,000 PPP loans, both up in back-to-back years. Both of them were forgiven. And so when you talk about, and the business was profitable, it did not need that money.
Right.
So when you talk about inflation happens because people who have, Joe Citizen, in theory, has too much money. We're spending too much money, so the prices go up so that they can accommodate the demand. Well, the thing that flooded the marketplace with too much money wasn't the guy with the $500,000 on down business. It was the $1 million on up, all the way up into the billions businesses and the handouts that they got. Mm-hmm. And so like that business that got the two free $500,000 PPP loans, both forgiven, you know, that went on the marketplace and it got sold. And it got sold for a premium. So that particular business owner, when you factor in what they got for their business, which I won't say, and when you factor in their $1 million of free money from the government, that business owner walked away with a ton more cash to put into the economy. And you're like, well, that's good. Well, it's kind of good, but that contributes to inflation.
Yep.
And the people that you were talking about getting the $2,000 checks, that was a be quiet, don't bother me payment.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't complain about the muckety muck. So and I don't want to be political, but at the end of the day, big government and big business wants small government so that big business can be bigger than the small government. Mm-hmm. We are there.
We have arrived.
We have arrived.
So let's talk about, as a small business
Mm-hmm.
owner, what is more important, a lead or a sale? And why?
I know Zach wants to pounce on that, so I'm going to let you go first, Zach.
So I personally think a lead is more important. That's what I think. But if you were to ask me, I would say, like, as a holistic, like, prescription, I think it depends on what kind of, like, who you are and how you operate your business, right? Because there are some people that have no business getting leads and they might as well just cut straight to the sale. Because truth be told, the lead will just, you might as well wrap it up and throw it in the back of the storage unit because they're not going to touch it again.
Mm.
Like,
so they're irresponsible with their leads.
They're irresponsible with them, so they might as well not get them. They would, like, just go straight for the sale. Mm. And I think it probably vets out that they probably figured that out along the way, and that's why they do that. Mm. But I personally think, and I would say, from what I know and some of the conversations I've had, I would bet virtually every big business that we just talked about cares way more about leads than they do about customers.
Mark?
100% agreed. I look at if you can, for your own business, the thing that I would encourage you to do is look at a lead as though it were an undervalued stock. I had a friend tell me about Microsoft in the early 90s. I want to say it was around $7 a share. And I didn't know anything about the stock market. And he's like, I'm telling you, you want to get in this thing. And next thing you know, it was $17. And then it was $27. And then it was $29. And, and then on and on and on. I think this morning Microsoft is, $447 a share, and split adjusted or not being split adjusted, it's probably, $2,000 a share.
I was going to say, how many times has it split since then?
So you have to look at a lead as though it is a sale that has just not matured yet. And so people that burn leads and ignore leads they're money criminals. Because if you, that's really what you are. You're literally, you may as well be setting money on fire. If you're in the mortgage business, every time you ignore a lead, you're burning up $50 or $60 bill. If you're in the insurance business, every time you burn a lead, you're burning up a $35 bill. And you know what it is for your business, yep. And so you got to figure out what that number is. But if you ignore a lead, you're totally turning your back on the equivalent of, early stage Microsoft or Amazon. And here's the thing about it is those leads, when I say burning a lead, I mean reaching out to them unprepared to offer them value. I mean reaching out to them and being cavalier with their time. That's what burning a lead is. It's just not being skilled enough to help them. Ignoring a lead is just that. Collecting it and doing absolutely nothing with it. Oh my gosh, it's probably the worst sin in the world. Or trying to prejudge it. Well, you know what? They're in XYZ zip code. Say they don't really do a lot of business with me. Or I noticed that phone number was from Los Angeles and I don't have any customers in You can't do that. You have to literally turn over every stone. And so the lead ultimately is not only more valuable than the sale, the lead is the most valuable sale.
I agree. And that's funny. Like the phone number thing is funny because obviously we have that gym, we have a gym. And so I have a phone, we have a company line and it's attached to my cell phone. Well, I screen calls on my phone like you wouldn't believe. But on that phone, I pick up every single, if I see the phone ringing, I pick it up no matter what. And half the time, guess what? It's a telemarketer or it's somebody trying to sell me something that I don't need. But because I value the lead, I pick up the phone no matter 100%. What. I don't care what the zip code is. It does not matter because we have at least, I want to say I've had at least 4 or 5 sales from people that have moved to the area. So guess what? They don't have the area code that's the same. So not thinking, not even processing that and being like, oh yeah, it's telemarketer. Such a bad idea. So it's funny. I think what you said, people know the cost of their lead, but I would challenge people to know, do you know the lifetime value of your customer? Right? Because if you know that, then what is your lead worth, right?
100%.
It might cost you $50 to get a lead, but if your lifetime value is $1,000, you're killing the game.
You really are.
You're killing the game. And so you have a Starbucks cup there. I remember and I don't remember what book it's from, but I was listening to a book, this was years ago, and somebody was talking about why lifetime value is so important to know. And they basically gave the example of Starbucks, and Starbucks knows that their lifetime value of a customer is $14,000.
Is that true for you, Mark? Are you a $14,000 Starbucks?
It's
right,
crack in a cup.
Right. But okay, but think about that. They if they know that their lifetime value of a customer is $14,000, they know that they can spend a whole bunch of money on getting a lead, right? That's why they give away free stuff. That's why, big companies, why do they do crazy raffles and do crazy stuff like that? We're going to give away a $2 million house. Why would you do that? Oh, because they know the more people they can get on that list to market to, it makes sense. So anyways, leads are crazy valuable as long as you know what to do with them.
Agreed. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The value of the lead is in the skill level of the person whose hands it's in.
So good. So that goes on to another question is a lead is only as valuable as what you do with the lead, right?
That's correct.
So how do you get repeat business? And what is the most overlooked way or the easiest way to get repeat business? Because really, that's what contributes to the lifetime value of a customer. So how do you get repeat business as a small business owner?
I would say there's two things. You know, it's like the Diana Ross song, you know, reach out and touch somebody's hand. You know, that's real. You got to stay in contact with them. You've got to stay in touch with them. You know, I'm not shy about telling people that my first ever sales job was in the car business. One of the first things that I learned was to send out holiday cards, birthday cards, anniversary cards, paper. I'm talking handwritten paper. And it felt meaningless, you know, in year one in the car business. But these people start showing up when it's not their birthday saying, this is my son. He's 17. We're getting him a car. This is my wife. She's starting a new job where she wants a car. And if I'm not reaching out and touching them, I'm probably not the first person they think of. So I think that's one of the things that you do. The other thing that you do is when you enroll somebody to be your client, you let them know that your commitment to them is for as long as you draw a breath. And that way they know to call you for everything. Even if they're not sure that you do it, they will call you and say, hey, I don't know if you do this, but I wanted to at least give you a call. And I think be known as someone who cares about them and someone who has ability, and they will keep on coming back to you.
Do you think that's true for both service-based as well as product-based businesses?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because product-based businesses have become service-based businesses. I'm not just going to buy my vitamins from the vitamin store. I'm going to ask the guy to tell me what it's going to do for me. It's like, hey, man, before you give me that beet juice that makes my face pucker, tell me that the six-pack is just, 2-3 months away and how to make it work best.
Well, and so to jump on that bandwagon, like think about how, I'm going to call it sneaky, mainstream advertising is, right? Like, and product packaging is. Like, we know, right? Like, there's all kinds of things they put on packaging that's like, oh, it's natural, or it's this, or it's that. Well,
no sugar added.
Right.
Lies.
No sugar added in the at the bottling process, but they added the sugar before they bottled it. So they put this.
That's what concentrate means. Juice concentrate.
Oh,
it
don't
actually
you know.
means there's sugar.
More sugar.
Right.
And
So
then, but then they can still put on the thing, no sugar added.
Right. So they do all these sneaky things. And so now customers don't trust the product. They don't trust the product. So what do you have to do? You have to have a relationship with the person selling the product, right? And so, but that relationship becomes with the business. So the more you can, be in touch with your customers and provide value with them other than here, buy my product, here, buy my product, here, buy my product. Like if you can actually give them assistance and, it's like it's an old Snapple thing, right? Yep. Like Snapple blew up because they put stupid factoids on
Toys are not stupid.
Okay, they're not.
I'm just messing with you.
They're not, because I'm one of the greatest kings of having random facts in my head. So
true story.
I love Snapple as a kid, believe it or not. I rode my bike miles and miles to get Snapple and hoped to get different ones on there. But they put those things on there and people loved it. Why? Because I get to know something, right? It's like this social cool thing. And businesses don't do that. Like there's so many businesses that are just like, buy my product, buy my product, buy my product. And so I think you lose out on a lot of opportunity to provide value for your customers and make them a customer for life, lifetime customer.
So Mark, you said something interesting. You said when you were in sales, you did a lot of cards in handwritten cards at that, right? And you said you didn't see any return for the first year. I think two reasons that people like small businesses don't do what we're talking about is one, oftentimes you have to start with the unscalable thing.
Right.
You had to handwrite it. It was not scalable. You were not sending out mass emails. You started with unscalable, right? And it's going to be a slow return. And people don't want to do the unscalable because they don't want to work, and they don't want to do the slow return because we're a microwave society. Tell me your thoughts on those things.
Okay. Absolutely. And let me correct myself. I said I didn't expect to see a return in the first year. I most definitely saw a return in the first 60 days. Okay. And one of the reasons is because one of the ways of reaching out and touching people is by doing the handwritten notes and all that. But back then we used to have the old words like mail, or call, mail, call, take your pick. And so you alternated. And so when I would do a follow-up visit or phone call from them 3 weeks later, they were very receptive because I had already made deposits into that emotional relationship, you know. And so that was important. I didn't call and say, hey, do you remember me? I sent you a card. When are you looking for your next car? I didn't really do that. They were just happy to hear from me because the relationship had changed from transactional to relational. The other thing that I tell you, the industry that does this better than anybody is the funeral business. It's real simple. So if I die and my wife goes down to the funeral home to take care of my final arrangements, I am what they call, or she is what they call an at-need customer. Means I died, I didn't have a plan in place, and they sell her all the stuff for my funeral, top dollar. Mm-hmm. No discounts because she has no leverage. No matter what. She's got to do it. So they know that. The funeral home actually still makes more money and survives by selling what they call pre-need. They sell it ahead of the game. So they missed on me because I didn't have anything, and Peggy takes care of my final arrangements. But after the funeral, they have the person that helped her call her up and bring her some things out to the house. And that's called an ACV. It's called an aftercare visit. And the person shows up with calendars, schedules of things they need, extra death certificates if they have it, how to get more if they need it, and they walk them through what to expect over the next couple of months. Maybe they give them a book about grieving, give Peggy a book about grieving, and they hold her hand through the process and don't really attempt to sell her anything. Do you know what happens before that person leaves from talking to Peggy? Peggy, did we do an okay job of taking care of Mark? Yeah, I really appreciate it. I had no idea so much was involved. You know what? You should be talking to my sister. You should also reach out to Mark's brother. You should reach out to so-and-so. And Peggy gives them 8 names before they leave their house. And sometimes they don't even have to ask for it. And that relational care for people, they seem to do that better because the stakes are so much higher. Not the dollar amount necessarily, but just it's emotional life and death. Stakes, yeah. And so they really get it. And so if you work in a funeral home and you're not doing your aftercare visits, you'll get more than a rap on the knuckles. You'll probably get released to your destiny because they understand that relationship is everything.
Fascinating. So 60 days though, you said, hey, you saw results from your stuff in 60 days. I would challenge that most people are not patient enough for 60 days anymore.
Oh, especially now. You're absolutely right.
Because it's, no offense, but it's Facebook ads. Like that's what people run their stuff off of. Like I know of a handful of businesses that completely and totally and utterly rely on Facebook ads, which I think is super dangerous, but it's
that lion again.
Yeah, it's definitely the lion, and it's worse than that because they're not making you bleed somewhere that you can see it. It's the Atlas Shrugged story. It's a little bit of poison, over and over again, and it's an addiction, right? You get addicted to that, like, oh yeah, I just put money in and it comes back out, until they change something, and then
it's having a sale. It's the exact same thing that all retailers know that you get hooked on sales, you'll be out of business at some point. And it's like, the joke is, it's like, which going out of business sale is the furniture store having? The real one or just the one this week? Because those sales are addictive. And so is the Facebook advertising. It doesn't mean Facebook advertising is bad.
No, I'm not saying it's bad.
But your touches have to be intentional and about the relationship. And so if you're going to have regular email contact with somebody, those contacts need to be giving value at a rate, I would say, ideally 10 to 1,
100%
over the ask. Most people feel like they can't afford to wait long enough for the ask, and as a result, they don't get it. I've done it. I'm guilty of that. And so as a result, they don't get anything from it.
So ads are expensive. We all agree on that. So here's the question then, and we get asked all the time, shouldn't we start with ads? Shouldn't we start with ads? What is the best marketing strategy for small business, particularly some service-based business, but all small businesses with a small budget?
The small budget.
Do you start with ads, or is there something else that works better?
Put your sign on your truck for starters.
Sign on the truck. That's good. So I think there's a lot of power. Like, obviously, if you're good and you're good at what you do, I think there's a lot of power in being creative with some kind of referral program. Like, I really think that referral programs are kind of overlooked because I don't think people want to. I don't like it. Logistically, it can be a little messy. Right. So there's some logistics to it that you have to be able to handle some of that. And I just think that if you're really good, like, people want to recommend you. Right. And so if you can come up with a way to get them a benefit and get the other person a benefit and things like that, I think there's a lot of opportunity in that. And truth be told, it's pretty much free, like, other than whatever you're going to discount or like however you're arranging it. I really think that there's a lot of opportunity that I've seen a lot of businesses do it and do it quite successfully. Or do some kind of raffle, like do some kind of like giveaway thing, right? Those two things are like, but yeah, I think they're easier to do than getting into Facebook ads, because if you like, the reality is you don't know your messaging and you don't know like the way to get people to click on things, you're just handing Zuckerberg money. Like, you're literally just going to hand him money and it's going to go away quickly and you're going to be upset.
And I agree with that 100%, especially the raffle piece. So I'll divide it. So let's go products first. So restaurant and retail. And retail, that can include online. I think beyond threshold marketing, you can write that down if you're not familiar with the term, and gamification of beyond threshold marketing. And so what I mean by that is fill up a bucket and put it on your counter at your restaurant with cubic zirconia diamonds, and then put one real one in there. And every time somebody comes to eat, they get to pick one out. And they can go to the jeweler next door and have it looked at. Like, gamify the beyond threshold marketing. That's a big deal. You can do that with raffles. Shopify gets it. They've got plugins where you can spin a wheel every time you go to the site before you even make a purchase. And so that is a big deal. Have some fun with some people while they are in your presence. And that's free and that is easy. And the referrals, of course. But before I even do the referrals, I don't know if you noticed on the side of my Starbucks cup, somebody this is a drive-through a block from your house, so I don't know these people.
Yep.
They took a Sharpie and drew 3 little hearts on the side of my Starbucks cup. I was at the drive-through, so it wasn't my rugged good looks. They had no idea who they were doing this for, right? And it still made a difference. So I think that's part of the beyond threshold marketing as well. Then on service businesses, I also believe that one of the things all businesses that's available to you is get very specific about helping people help you through Google reviews. Don't just ask them, like, if they tell you they had a great time, don't just ask them for the Google review. Help them give you the Google review. It's like, hey, look, just go ahead and scan that right there, and that'll show you how to give me a Google review. Or let me email or text you the link to my Google review, and go on and just tell them what you think of us. I would tell you that if you're doing that intentionally, you're wise enough to be doing that with people who are going to give you good reviews. But that is a great way to grow your business. It's totally free and it is everlasting.
So define beyond threshold marketing.
Beyond threshold marketing means when they come in, and they're coming from the outside, and get beyond the threshold, when they cross this doorstep and are inside of your business, market to them. Think about it. I don't go to restaurants so much. I think restaurants got awfully crappy in the last several years. There's some good ones, but I don't go a lot. But if you go to a restaurant on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday, you're probably going to have a minimum, maybe a 20-minute wait. So you're just sitting there. You know, and one restaurant used to give you peanuts. I don't think they even do that anymore. And you're just sitting there. They have you. They could have some fun with you. They could entertain you. Even the gas station shows me videos and news clips while I'm pumping my gas and plays me music. All of that is beyond threshold marketing. So once they're inside my place, the diamond and cubic zirconia example that I gave, that is a beyond threshold marketing. And I think that if you can have some fun, like you remember McDonald's, well, you probably don't. But when I was a kid, if I could go into McDonald's and say, 2 all-beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, I would get a buy one, get one free of the Big Mac.
You can still say it.
I can still say it. That's right. And then Burger King copied it. So now the consumer's really making out. And if I could go into Burger King and sing the song, hold the pickles, hold the lettuce, special orders don't upset us. Oh, yes, that you let us have it your way or serve it your way. If I could do that, then I would get a free fry. And so that's beyond beyond threshold marketing.
They do.
Chipotle does it for Halloween. If you dress up in a costume, you get a free burrito.
They do.
Right.
And when I was a basketball coach, Chick-fil-A would come in and give out free Chick-fil-A sandwiches and a card for a free ice cream the next time you're in their store.
Right.
And so, like, beyond threshold marketing is one of the, it's like they're here.
They like
Have some fun
you.
with them. Yes. Yeah.
You know what?
They've arrived for the party. Now party.
You know what all that requires, though?
What's that?
You have to value the lead.
You do.
If you don't value the lead,
You're right.
You value the sale, then you don't care about them when they're there. Like you don't care about the next thing, right? Because that's forethought into the lifetime value of a customer. Like I was thinking about, like when you're talking about all those things, our son loves Brazilian barbecue.
I was just thinking about that too.
And so last year for his birthday, we went this year as well. But last year when we went, it was our first time going to this particular one. And they gave him
for his birthday.
For his birthday, a gift card for $25. Wow. Now, that's not going to cover the cost of everybody else's meal.
No.
It barely covered the cost of his meal.
Right.
It was for the next visit.
Right. But it's for the next visit.
He's your loss leader.
Right.
He's good.
Exactly.
You're not.
Right. Exactly. So they get you, but they're going to get you to come back. Mm-hmm. Right. And they know if they can get you back in the door, then they're winning. Yep. Right. Because they have a great experience. Their atmosphere is great. Their people are great.
Their food's great.
Mm-hmm. So they know.
If you want a good restaurant, Mark.
Right. So they know that their main objective is to get you back in the door. So anyways.
So then does it come back to relationships? Like is really the foundation of any good marketing build relationships, whether that be when they come through the door, whether that be through email, whether that be through nurturing the lead? Doesn't it all come back to thinking about how can I make them feel good? How can I make them feel special?
It does.
For sure.
And if you want to peel back the onion even a little bit further, this is a little bit corny and maybe the wrong platform, but I don't care. I got to share it because it's what is needed. It comes down to belief. You know, shooters don't shoot because they don't. I'm talking basketball now. Shooters don't shoot because they don't believe that the shot's going in. And I used to coach. I had a player, and she used to say, "I'm a shooter, coach," and then she'd go into a game and not take one shot. I'm like, well, if you've described yourself as a shooter, and you're not shooting the ball while you're in, why are you in my office the next day saying, "Why didn't I play?" Because you were not existing as the person that you described yourself as. And I think business owners don't believe that the marketing's going to work. They don't count the lifetime customer because they don't even believe they're going to be there that long. And because they don't believe in that future, they don't do the things today. Because if I believed that the ocean was going to rise above my eyeballs tomorrow, I would go get a boat today or I would leave, right? And so people have an easy time believing the catastrophe, but they don't have an easy time believing the upside. And I don't know how to fix that, but I think some awareness about it is probably the best way to get people started. So believe enough to count the value of your customer, like Zach says, and then believe enough to do the steps, whether it's the beyond threshold marketing, whether it's sending the written communications, making the phone call, asking for the referral, do it all. Believe like it's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, like people won't get to take the time to share how to do a Google review because they don't think the Google review is going to matter, or that they're even going to do it.
That's right.
Well, and you have to go along with that belief, you have to have some patience to let it play out, right?
100%.
You have to throw out the microwave. Get rid of the microwave, cook on the stove, figure out, like, you have to do some food prep and understand. No, I'm serious. Like,
no, I'm thinking about people who do something the next day, they go, see, it didn't work. And you're like, it's been 24 hours.
Like, you barely even...
and they ignore all the things that do work.
They do.
Yeah.
They lock in on the one that doesn't. And that's what, back to the shooting again, the best shooters have the shortest memories. It's like, I know that I was 0 for 13, but I'm about to be 10 for 10 on these next 10.
Right.
That's the level of belief that creates the Michael Jordans, the Steph Currys, and the LeBron Jameses. And if there's a video floating around the internet of Steph Curry shooting, and he needs to make 10. And he misses like his first 3. His body language doesn't change. His head doesn't drop. His shoulders don't shrug. He just keeps shooting. And then he goes on to make like the next 17 in a row. Not because he's Steph Curry, but because Steph Curry believes that the next one's going in. If people could just adopt some of that, they would get busy about the work that they were put here to do.
For sure.
So what's the biggest mistake small businesses make when they're trying to grow?
I think one of the biggest mistakes that small businesses make when they're trying to grow is they listen to their non-ideal customer. I think that's a huge trap, and it's an easy trap because people that aren't necessarily your ideal customers tend to be louder than your ideal customers, right? Because your ideal customers are happy as a lark in the dark. They're there, they're doing their thing, like whatever, like they're just there, like they don't show up on your radar, right? But the whiny ones aren't necessarily your people, right? Because if they were your people, they probably wouldn't be whining quite that much. And they would probably be a little more understanding of like some of the things you're trying to do. So I think there's this, it's an easy thing to have happen, right? Like it happened as a supervisor, like you cater to whining people because they're whiny.
The squeaky wheel is guiding you, and it shouldn't.
Right, and it shouldn't, right? Like, it should guide you, but it should guide you on, I don't want more people like you because you're not my people. And it should guide you in this, like, okay, who are the people that I love to work with? How do I get more of them? And I think it's super easy to do because you're like, oh, well, we got to do that. We got to lower our prices, or we got to do this, and we got to do that. And like,
you like factoids, Zach? I got one for you.
Oh, boy.
Right now, wherever he is, I'll do this because who knows? George Michael is up there amening you. You remember George Michael, the musician? Mm-hmm. So he had this song, which is not at all about what we're talking about, but the beginning of this song is exactly what you just said. So he has this song, I think it was called Teacher, but the first words of this song were, "You were far when I could have been your star. You listened to people. They scared you to death. Strange that you were strong enough to ever make a start. But you'll never find peace of mind till you listen to your heart." Then he goes on to talk about other things that are not this. But that is what you just said. And George Michael tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Tell my man Zach he's doing all right."
You're hilarious.
All right, I got carried away.
What do you think's the biggest mistake?
Boy, Zach really hit a very good one. Like, I think that's at the top of the list. But I think the biggest mistake is it's in the same vein. My favorite coach, John Wooden, used to say, "Don't let what you know keep you from learning what you need to know." Mm. And I think a lot of times you'll talk to people about something. I know business and I know startup and I know buying businesses, and people will come to me and they'll say, "Hey, Mark, I got a 750 credit score and there's a business I want to buy. Do you think I'll be able to buy it?" And I'll say, "Well, yeah, of course." I said, "You probably need at a minimum 5% down, probably 7, and in a perfect world, 10. Do you think you can do that? Well, I have the money down, but there's no way they're going to loan a guy like me money. I've never even been in that business. And what they know is keeping them from even applying, even taking the first step. And I think, that old saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. People are letting what they think they know stop them from taking that first step and finding out all that's possible about them. So I think they're letting their flawed knowledge base, which is really the same thing Zach is saying, they're letting their flawed knowledge base keep them from all that has been prepared for them, all the good things that await them.
What's fascinating with both of the things you guys said, neither of them were tactical, like you're doing this wrong. Like you're doing this marketing thing wrong. You have the wrong software for your funnel or your website. You have the wrong whatever. And I feel like so often people think that if they have all the answers of what to do,
all the things,
then they'll be good. But you guys are saying that's not true.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
You know why?
This is crazy. This is nuts. Here's why she nailed it. And then I'll let you, but you got to hear this. Quick. Name a top soda.
Pepsi.
Okay.
Coke.
Okay. Perfect.
We started a war of Pepsi Coke.
They're both good. Name, if I have a headache, name a medicine that I could buy at a grocery store.
Bayer.
Huh? Bayer?
Aspirin.
Okay, aspirin. Okay.
Isn't that the same Bayer aspirin? No,
okay, that's the same. So give me one more. Huh?
Ibuprofen.
Ibuprofen.
Ibuprofen. Okay. Perfect. All right.
We know you don't take pain medicine. It's okay.
You're
that's right. I'm asking the wrong guy.
You got to give me on a product I use.
Mine would have been Tylenol. Okay, so just remember that. Okay.
Brand. Sorry.
So I know you drive a Honda, so I'll take that out of the equation. Name 2 good quality Japanese cars.
Toyota and Subaru.
Okay.
What he said.
Toyota and Subaru. So you talk about, we didn't mention tactical and making mistakes, right? Uh-huh. So, and I'll use my drug for headaches, and I'll use your input from the other ones. So Coca-Cola will destroy the paint on your car and make your teeth fall out, and they switched their recipe to New Coke and lost a gazillion customers. Toyota had a sticking gas pedal probably about 15, maybe 20 years ago that almost bankrupted them, right? Tylenol had a nut job working in one of their factories that put arsenic and poisoned people and killed people, and they didn't know which stores it was in, and so they had to take everything off the shelves, apologize, and own it completely. So getting it wrong is a part of being in business. And here we are today, on the other side of insurmountable screw-ups by these companies, and the first names that pop into our minds for those things are Coke, Tylenol, and Toyota. Bam. Mess up. Get it wrong. Dust yourself off, and keep freaking going.
But it's all mindset.
Again, 100%.
You want to know our favorite quote?
What's that?
Movement creates clarity.
Ooh.
We've been saying that
I love that.
since we started.
That's similar to my dad saying.
What's your dad saying?
Do something, boy, even if it's wrong.
Oh, yeah.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
That might be my favorite. Okay.
They mean the same thing.
It's the
same vein, for sure. Yeah. And they're both great. Mm-hmm. There's just, there's so much in all those things and people are crazy. Like they just freeze. They're like the deer in the headlights, right? It's like, oh, I can't do anything. It's like, okay, don't do anything. Like you stay exactly where you're at.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And it's not going to be easy. Nothing is. Nothing that we celebrate is easy. Oh, I love such and such, the heavyweight champion of the world. Okay, not easy. I love so-and-so, my favorite quarterback. Okay, not easy. I love such and such, Richard Branson, he's the greatest businessman. Not easy. No, Mark Cuban, the bazillionaire, he's telling you, I was sleeping on my friends' couches, working 3 jobs and trying to get it right.
Trying to figure it out.
With no automobile. It's not easy. That is how you know you are on the right course. If it is all easy, you can plan on waking up with a very short haircut and all of your strength being gone, because that's where easy leads. Samson reference. Sorry about that.
Well,
That's good.
it's so fascinating because people often, Zach and I talk about this all the time. One of your other favorite phrases is you have to enjoy the process, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, and we've run into
love
this
the
in our
process.
marketing business, is people want to start with the big thing. And sometimes it's not about, actually, I would say
they want to start
almost,
with they want to start with a home run.
they do. And
100%.
almost all the time, the win to start with a base hit. Thank you. I almost
Just a hit.
missed
Like,
the reference.
I mean,
Hit the ball. Do
hit,
something,
like,
boy.
For real, like, who cares if you got on base even?
Yep.
Just get up and nick the ball. Like, most people just stand up there and let the pitcher throw strikes.
And they're like, I'm not gonna
And I
try
don't
to
even
hit
like
it unless
baseball.
I can hit a home run.
and I don't
it's
even like baseball. So
It's nuts. And in basketball, as a coach, we used to call them Instagram ballers. So, we go recruit and we go to these tournaments, and you got the guy that, shot the ball 40 times and made 1 3, and he's running down court, making every signal in the world, looking at me, high-fiving himself and did you get that, Mom? Okay, I'm going to do it again. And then he wouldn't shoot the 3 and make it again. He would do all the celebrating again because he wanted the footage to put that one, not even the shot, celebration on Instagram. And so we developed a term. We're like, yeah, I'm not sure I'm interested in that player. They're an Instagram baller. And that means they don't celebrate the gym. They don't celebrate the conditioning, the road work, the jump ropes, the jump boxes, the pre-dawn workouts. What they celebrate is, I need a clip for Instagram. And if you're building your business for an Instagram clip, you're setting yourself up for agony and disaster. If you are enjoying that process, and if you are in the dark gym getting up your shots or following up on your leads or sending out the emails or working through technology that you don't quite understand, and even though you read the directions 8 million times, if you're doing those things, your success is waiting for you. It is at the finish line saying, you're almost here. Come on. We got you.
Keep doing the work.
Keep doing the work.
I think, man, I like people they want the flashy stuff because the flashy stuff sells. But the fundamentals are what win. Like, I haven't watched football professional football in quite a while, but I remember watching, and love him or hate him, Bill Belichick, I call him mad genius.
Oh yeah.
The evil genius, right? Because he probably cheated a few times, but that's okay. Regardless, I don't really care. It doesn't matter. But I remember watching a game. Couldn't tell you the game. Don't ask. But he had a tight end, or he had some player that was in, and he was lined up, and the defensive guy across from him was lined up off sides. And they snapped the ball and nothing happened because the player didn't reach out and touch him. Bill Belichick went completely bananas on this dude it was like a 4th and 1. All he had to do was reach out. He could have touched him because he was in the neutral zone, and it would have been, got the flag, got the first down, and then it kept going down the field, and the kid didn't do it. And he went bananas on him. You'd have thought that the kid dropped the ball on the winning, but this is in the middle of the game. This is second, it wasn't even final drive or anything. It was none of that. It was just in the middle of the game. Bananas on him. And I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder he wins all the time. He's so fanatical about the fundamentals.
Excellence.
So fanatical about that he just always won. And that's obviously it's not the whole thing. He had some good players in there and stuff too, but it makes such a big difference.
You got to be a little nuts about this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Think about the 1950s. You remember automobiles? They're not like the ones we drive now. Even the new ones had issues. 200 miles into it, it's smoking. And you got Ray Kroc hears about these guys going through milkshake mixers out in California, and he drives all the way from Chicago, maybe even further, but I think Chicago, out to the West Coast to see what the heck is going on that you're selling this many milkshakes. He's a milkshake salesman. He's not an entrepreneur. He's not a venture capitalist. He's a milkshake salesman. He sees something and realizes there might be something in here for me. He literally takes his last dollars and drives to the West Coast in his beater of a car just to ask them what they're doing. And when he gets there, he has to wait till the rush is over, and because he sees they're it's operating like no restaurant he ever saw. He had no money. All he had was an idea and an undying belief in himself. And if he would have been like most people, he'd have said, well, I don't have any money. These guys aren't going to want to do a deal with me. He didn't. He walked in. He said, let's do a deal. I'll sell the franchises. That's my half. You'll own the business. That's your half. And they're like, okay. And he went out and started selling the freaking franchises and didn't pay a dime for it. You know, and at the end of the day, he ended up buying them out for another $2 million. And now, you know, there's 30,000 McDonald's worldwide. His estate is, you know, worth like the Walton's estate. And just because a guy believed in himself enough to drive in an old beater car with no way home to ask the milkshake salesman and hamburger guys how they were doing so much business. It baffles me that faith like a mustard seed is always at the beginning of the stories that we celebrate the most.
Always.
So let me ask you this. Let's transition. How should small businesses, or how can small businesses use AI without losing a human touch? So many people are worried about AI being the bad guy in business. You know, they're like, oh, I don't know, that makes me nervous, you know, especially some conservative business owners. But how can AI benefit the small business owner and not make it become some robotic thing?
Well, maybe there are some things that the humans don't need to touch. You know, we just talked about cars. If you go back 200 years, we were walking or using horses. And I got to tell you, this is a better way to travel. There's no two ways about it. So maybe if the person has those reservations, why don't they start with the tasks that are not human touch sensitive? You know, look, have the thing make you an Excel spreadsheet. Look, make me a schedule that gets everybody on the schedule 3 times between now and the 4th of July. Nobody works any more hours than the other person, and they all need to work 33.3 hours per week. There are 7 of them. Here are their names. Go.
Right.
Why in the world would I want to spend a week building that Excel spreadsheet myself that calculates the hours, the times, and makes recommendations to me about how to improve it when I can just type in a sentence and hit enter? I think the human power, we don't use it to replace the human power. The manpower we should be using the AI to get a higher return for the manpower. So let the AI do the simple things and let the human intelligence do things that only humans can do well. And there's all kinds of AI out there. Obviously, you know, I talked to you guys about it. You can make 10,000 phone calls in 2 minutes. That's okay, because 9,600 of those phone calls may get hung up on if it were a person. I am actually freeing a person from that and moving them further down in the process so they can talk to the person after they've shown an interest. And I've saved them maybe 4 weeks of human manpower. You just can't beat that. So use it to maximize human return, not to eliminate human input.
Yeah, so I think most likely the biggest thing that small business owners can do with AI currently is do anything. Like, go do something with it. Don't wait until it's, you know, don't wait 5 years. Don't wait a couple of years until you realize that it's not going away, right? Like, don't treat it like something that's this, you know, fad that's going to disappear, like a bad haircut, you know, bad hairstyle that came through in the 80s or something like that. It's not. So, and here's the thing. It's been around for a lot of years, right? Like, big business has been using it for a long time. You've just got gain more access to it. So stop treating it like it's going away. Go get used to it. Go in there and figure out what it can do for your business, right? Like Mark said, let it do something that's non-customer facing, right? But it can it can for sure improve your output. It can take like some of those tasks that he was talking about. It can free up your bandwidth so that you can work on other things. And but the thing is if you don't start using it, it's like anything. The first time you do anything, you suck, period. Like, don't think that you're going to be great. Don't act like a 5-year-old. Like, I'm the greatest there ever was. And I just pick things up and I'm master at it right away. Like,
Nobody is.
Like, no one is. It's just how it works. So get in there and start using it so that you understand it and have a feel for it and you can actually benefit from it. Because if you wait for 5 years, you're just going to end up paying a contractor to do it for you, and they will take advantage of you 100%.
And something super simple is if you're writing an email to your staff, to your customers, write the email. Then put the email in there and say, hey, is there any way that I can improve this? Or like, hey, can you make this so that it connects better emotionally? Or, hey, can you do blah, 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 blah. Can you make it funnier? Can you do this too? Like,
you make it more relational.
Make it more relational. Make it so that people want to read it. Like, just do that. And here's the thing is if you do your part and then you put it in there, it's still going to sound like you because you wrote the initial email. Right. Like,
do you care if I pull back the curtain just a little bit?
Just a little bit. Go ahead.
Okay. I want to pull back the curtain on something. I'm going to tell you what I do with AI more than anything. And I mean, I use it a lot, but I'm going to tell you what I do with it. One of the most challenging parts of owning a business or being an entrepreneur is you don't always have somebody to bounce your ideas off of. You don't always have somebody to talk to. Sometimes I just talk to it. And I tell it what I'm thinking, and then I ask it for some recommendations on the best, most straightforward way to get from point A to B. So a conversation with it might look like this. Hey, I'm thinking about offering fractional COO services to my customers and to businesses that are not yet my customers. And I know that I have the ability to do it, but I don't have that much information on that industry. I'm not sure how to charge. I'm not sure how I should, I'm not sure how to get new clients, and I'm not sure which services to offer and which services to take off the table. Make some recommendations to me about how I should proceed, and then it'll quickly, in 10 seconds, give me some recommendations. I'll say, oh, that really looks great. Formulate it in a plan that allows me to reach out to my first customer in the next 3 days. And then it'll give me that. Great. Give me a script of what I can say to people when I talk to them. And then it'll give me that. Are you kidding me? Why would I want to return that to the store unopened? People, if you're not using this, you are literally putting some of the best brain power available in business on the bench, and that would kind of make you not that smart.
And it's true, though. I use it. I tell Zach all the time, I use it as my assistant. Like, you know, and you don't, like, here's the beautiful thing is, like, so even if you have, like, a team that's awesome and great at generating ideas, you can't always meet with them. They're not always available. They're sometimes busy. They might live in a different time zone than you, and they might not be available when you're available. Or you might be somebody who's a late at night person or early in the morning person, and nobody else is awake or up. And so you just do exactly in whatever vein, whatever area that you do, whatever area you want to brainstorm.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. And so first off, Laura chatting with ChatGPT or whatever AI that she's working with has freed up my bandwidth because she no longer needs me to have those conversations with her. And I know that sounds like crazy. Trust me, we have plenty of
and normally after we have the final decision together.
Oh, yeah, we do. But she pre-goes through stuff. But the other thing I was going to say is, like, most software now, including your Gmail, right, have preformed prompts for you that you could just click the button and it'll put all the stuff in. Start with that. Like, start with that and see what it does. Like, just stop thinking you're going to break something. You're not going to break something. I get fired up because people are so scared of software. And
as the de facto IT guy,
I am the de facto IT guy. But the reason I'm the de facto IT guy is because my intention is to try and break it. Like, and I know that sounds crazy.
He's successful sometimes.
I am often successful.
I can't tell you how many softwares he's opened an IT ticket for, and they go, it's a bug in the software. I've never seen this before.
Often get that. I run into that. Mine is not, oh, it was right here, or did you restart your computer? Those solutions don't work for me. Like, they have to go to somebody else.
They have to take it upstairs.
They have to, like, I get past level 1 customer service, and I get to talk to somebody that writes code because I'm that guy. But it's because I'm not scared to break it. I push buttons, and I do stuff, and I move it around, and because I know it's fixable, right? So, but stop treating software that way. Stop doing those things, because it's important to understand. Like, that's how most people learn, is they do it wrong for a while and then they figure out what works.
And it's accessible. Think about it.
Oh my gosh,
people
it's everywhere.
Compare this to the internet. This is way better than the internet. I remember paying $19.95 for Prodigy. I couldn't do anything with that. I mean, I could look. It was like the lowest form of Google. It wasn't even that. It was just, there wasn't much to it. You know, there's a bunch of icons for me to choose from among what they had there for me. It's $19.95 a month. This is back in like 1990. Bought a computer at Sears. It took forever to get anywhere on there. This is free, man. And yes, you probably want to get some paid versions of some of these once you're comfortable using them. But right now, you can use Google's for free. You can get into Claude on X, and I hate promoting that one, but it's good. It is. So, oh well. And you can use ChatGPT. It's built into Canva now. It's all over the place. Yep. So if you're not using it, you're insane. Like Laura, you said you use it as your assistant. Zach, you use it as the tester. I like to use it as my mentor.
You know what else I use it for? I actually use it in replacement of Google.
Oh yeah.
I was just going to say that.
I will ask it like if I want to figure some random thing out, or I want like a technical answer, I'll ask ChatGPT, because it goes and deciphers all the stuff for me and gives me
much more quicker than you hitting all the
like
links.
Instead of me going through a whole bunch of articles and a bunch of things to try and find, it literally just deciphers the answer, and it's like, bing, here it is.
Oh yeah.
Opposed to, you show up on a website and there's 18,000 pop-ups because it's ranked number 1 for SEO, and that's how they make their money, which I appreciate. But at the same time, it's annoying to go figure it out when I can just boom.
And if you're
right
scared
there.
of software, you can also type in there how to use certain things to make it do certain things. You can even have it write little snippets of code for you.
You can.
Big snippets now.
Yeah?
There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But you can, so say you're trying to use Canva for the first time and you don't know, you could go into ChatGPT. I mean, I know Canva has it built in too, but you could go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I want to create a flyer for this. What do you recommend? What do I put into Canva in order
it'll create your prompt for Canva, and a good one at that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and like what elements to search for, how you search for it, what background. It will tell you how to design it. You don't have to be a designer.
It'll do the same for video. I had it write the script for a Synthesia video this week or last week. And I had ChatGPT. It's like, hey, write me a script. My friend owns a hot water heater, or he owns a home repair, but he only wants to do hot water heaters. Mm-hmm. And so he wanted a video that talked about hot water heaters and the dangers of ignoring your hot water heater. And ChatGPT wrote the script. I stuck it into Synthesia. Synthesia took about 7 minutes to organize it. Let me pick out an AI character, and it was done. It was like effortless. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to edit it. I didn't have to do anything. It was just crazy.
Did it look good?
Yeah, looks good.
So
I have to see that.
Yeah.
So some people are going to hear this and they're going to go, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that. Like everything's getting replaced by AI. And this is what I always tell people. I want your thoughts on this. Is AI, in my opinion, is only as good as the questions you ask it, the prompts you give it, and your ability to recognize what you want at the end. So, for example,
currently,
for example, somebody who knows how to do design is going to get better ideas from ChatGPT than myself, who doesn't understand design, because they can ask it something specific and they know what it looks like. And so if I hire somebody if I hire a designer who is using AI, their AI results are going to be better than my AI results. Not that I can't get them, and they're not that they're not usable, but they're not better. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's 100% true, and I can tell you why.
Well, go ahead.
So the reason for that is AI it's built completely on language, right? So it just, all it's doing is guessing the next word, right? Very accurately guessing the next word, but that's all it's really doing. So here's why I know you have to be in the field to get the best results. Because if you don't know the language, and every field has its own language, whether you believe that or not, like if you go to a new job, it has a different language. You have to learn. That's why you have to go through training. You're learning a new language because you don't understand what people are saying. Same word means completely different things in different industries. And so if you're unable to communicate with it in that lexicon or that language, you will not get the good results, because you're telling it you're a master designer, or whatever, you're a master copywriter, whatever you're telling it is ahead of time. Then it goes into that world and says, okay, these are what these words mean now, right? But if you don't know what those words mean, you will make a mistake and you will get a result that you're not looking for.
And you become frustrated.
And you'll become frustrated because you are not proficient in that area. You're not proficient enough to give it commands in that area, right? And so that's why that happens. So if you're good in the area and you're an expert in an area, you're going to be better using AI for that thing than people that aren't. Period.
What are your thoughts, Mark?
I'll throw you a, I won't say poor man's, I'll say underfunded entrepreneur's fix to that. So let's say I can't afford to hire the designer, which that's real sometimes, right?
For sure.
So I still need the work done, and I still want that high level of work. So what I could do is I could go to ChatGPT and say, I'm not a designer, but I need to create high output. I wouldn't ask it this way. I'm just making it simple for our video here. But I need to create some high level designer output. Tell me how I should ask you for that.
You ask it for a prompt, yeah.
And
Right.
and so it'll tell me, and I can go and do that, because Zach is 100% right. Every industry, whether it's law, whether it's government, whether it's manufacturing, electricians, contractors, they all have their own language. So luckily, the AI already knows that language. So I can ask the AI. It's an additional step for me, but it's still, I don't have to hire that designer now. It'll bridge the gap until it does enough output to where I can sell enough of that kind of work to hire that designer. But right now, it's literally, look, ladies and gentlemen, starting with a small business and turning it into a large successful business is 100% about leverage. Most people always think of leverage in terms of money. I need to get a loan. I need to borrow some money. I need to get the cash. I need the capital. You literally can leverage anything. Right now, the highest return for leverage comes from you sitting down in front of your AI, telling it what you need. Let it do the heavy lifting for you.
100%.
So let me ask you this, is your small business, and you've used AI, you've used other things, so you've grown, right? And now you're like, I need help. Not just AI help, I need people help. All right? How do you know in your business who to hire next and when to hire them? Is there a point that you're like, okay, now is good to hire? And how do you know who to hire next? Like, is there a formula? Is there something that you rely on to help you with that, either of you?
I would say before, as far as knowing who to hire next, for me, always I need to do the look inward first. Everybody always talks about fit, and then they go out and try to find this person to fit. But they're talking about fit, and they haven't done the hard part first, which is looking in the mirror. What are the hard parts about working with Mark that somebody can deal with? And it took me a long time to figure that out. And where will we get the highest return from a union between me and that potential employee? Once I know what I need, and what they need to be able to navigate smoothly, it's easier for me to find that person. Yeah, skill level, experience, and all those things, those are easy to ask for. And 100 people can have, 1,000 people can have all of those attributes. But really what you're looking for is you're looking for some synchronicity of vision. You're looking for some alignment in your energy levels, in your work ethic, in your belief system. I don't mean that, hey, I'm Catholic and I'm not, and you need to be Catholic. That's not what I'm saying. But I am a believer in that what we are working on will turn into something awesome. You need to be that. If I hire somebody who is a built-in non-believer, I promise you, I'll be sick of them before the end of their first 8 hours. And so knowing that, I got to put in some questions to make sure that they can live up to the environmental standard of just being here. The work, I can teach them.
Interesting. What are your thoughts, Zach?
So, a couple things. So, first, I think I want to make sure that I'm actually in need of someone, right? Like, I think there's this tendency to jump the gun on it, and I think there's a need for, like, really, like, yes, you want to hire people to do things and to be better at things, but you really need to be dialed in on what you actually need them to do, right? Because I think too often we think that we need somebody, but we might not, right? You might just need a contractor for a little, like, some little portion of it, right? Or a particular task. And if they do that, you might get so much more free time that you don't actually need a full-time hire, right? Or I think it's just easy to jump the gun on that. That's the first thing.
So true.
The second thing is, when you're hiring somebody, like Mark said, are we a good fit, right? Do you fit our culture, whatever that culture is, and B, are you in alignment with, and you nailed this. Like, there are plenty of people that will never ever work with me. There is no universe.
Truth.
And it's just because, like, I can be fanatical, right? Like, I have high expectations. I have this quirky, like, get up, get it done, like, this drive, right? And if you don't have that, you're going to feel out of place. Like you said, you're going to, like, I'm not going to feel out of place. You're going to feel out of place. And it's going to be very challenging for you if that's not your, like, if you don't have that propensity to, like, rise to that occasion, it's going to be challenging.
They're going to quit.
They're most likely going to quit, or they're going to get fired very quickly.
Yeah.
And so
they're not going to be happy either way.
They're definitely not going to be happy.
Yep.
So vetting is, like, trying to vet that, or like vetting that as early as possible is huge. And the other thing I'd say is, if something doesn't work, cut people loose. Like, stop playing around. Like, give them constructive criticism and try and give them opportunities to get better and to get in alignment with you. But if it's like, don't drag it out.
I agree.
Don't drag that stuff out.
I agree. I like to call it not firing it, releasing them to their destiny.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because this isn't it.
Yep.
Like, this ain't working for you.
Yep.
It's not working for me. So,
and I used to think that was mean. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a bit of a. I'm probably softer in nature than
You're
the
Hallmark.
two of you.
You're Hallmark channel.
Hallmark.
you are
Yes.
you are Hallmark, and you don't have as many reps.
Yeah.
If I get you 20 reps, I bet you that tune changes.
No. But here's what I realized from listening to you two is that it's sometimes the kindest thing to do is to release somebody.
Oh, for
100%.
sure.
And sometimes the meanest thing to do is to hire them. And, the .com bust in 2000-ish, 2001, whatever. When you go back and you talk to a lot of those CEOs of some of these failed companies and you ask them what their biggest mistakes were, there's a phrase that floated around for a few years. It's called JTNAs or JTNRs. And I'm like, what is that? And they're like, justify the next round or justify the next ask, meaning they were in fundraising mode. And they knew that they needed that. Back then, the landscape was, I needed to be able to say I had this many people on my team to be able to ask for the next round of $2 million, $5 million, $10 million or whatever. And they were literally just grabbing bodies, sticking them on the team to make themselves, in their minds, look better when they sat in front of the unlearned venture capitalist of the day. And so those people, hiring those people, that was unkind to hire those people. Because they couldn't help you. They had no concept of how to help you get to the mission, and you were wasting everybody's time.
They're going to be unfulfilled.
Yes. And it's a bad use of resources. That money could be used for something else. So
A whole lot of other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with you. And I think that it can be hard, so for somebody who gets into business and they aren't a COO, they're not necessarily good at hiring and firing. They're not good at those types of things,
Right.
but they're good at whatever it is they do. Maybe they're a plumber, maybe they're construction, a pool clean, like somebody who cleans pools. They are a really good trainer, and they start their own gym. Like, what would you say to them? What's one good piece of advice? You've both have done hiring, firing, COO type of things. What's one good piece of advice for somebody who's not good at it yet, but is going to have to do it?
Have ChatGPT help you. No,
Oh, you're being serious.
No, I am being serious, right? So I would literally have ChatGPT help me vet somebody, right? And I would, but the thing is, here's the thing. You're going to have to come up with things that you care about. And it's going to have to, it's going to require thinking on your part, right? Like ChatGPT is going to be able to assist, but they're not going to be able to do some of this part, right? They're going to be able to get you there, right? And you're going to be able to go through some of those ideas. And Mark probably
How do you get them to vet you or vet somebody for you? Like, what does that look like?
What does it look like to me?
I might not even know what that means. Like, as a business owner, vet them. Like, what am I vetting them for?
If they're a fit.
Okay.
If you should hire them. So the first thing I would do is I would come up with some general things, like what Mark said, hey, here's how I operate. Here's my expectations as me as a person, right? These are the things this is how I operate. This is what I expect. Here's the culture that I want to build, right? And here are some of the things that need to happen in this role, right?
And ideally, you'd have those in a document anyways.
Well, obviously, you should have those in a document, but put those in a document, give it to ChatGPT, and basically say, hey, can you build some qualifications for this role? Like key things to look for in a person, right? And go back and forth with it.
Could you then put somebody's resume in, maybe even if
I
you
would
do it?
I would do two things.
Okay.
So first, I would have it look at resumes and analyze them and give me some kind of score, right? And you could ask it to build a scoring system based on whatever categories.
Mark's getting ideas over there.
Right? Mark already knows. Mark,
See that?
Mark
I
is,
like that. Yeah.
Mark is sitting there I already do this. So, okay, so I would give it some kind of scoring categories, right? So, and obviously this depends on how many applications you're actually getting. If you're getting a couple hundred applications, boom, stick them all in there, right? Google Docs, whatever, put them each on individual Google Docs. Give me the top 10 or whatever you want. That's how I'd handle that part. Just because I know how powerful transcripts are, I would.
You're giving away all the secret sauce today, aren't you?
I like it. Mark, going deep.
Mark, tell him not to give him so much secret sauce.
I like it. No, let him have it.
Look, okay, so then what I would do.
For a limited time only.
Yeah, limited time only.
This video is coming down tomorrow.
Right. So then what I would do is for my interviews, I would either do them.
Record them somehow.
I would record them somehow.
And if it's in person, mind you, tell them you're recording them or it's
absolutely
illegal.
Yes. You have to notify them that you're recording it.
Or do it on Zoom.
Most likely just do it on Zoom because it's probably more convenient for everybody. Most likely. I say that because I'm on Zoom at least twice a week, so it feels more convenient to me. Get it recorded, however you have to get it recorded, take those transcripts and get them into ChatGPT, and so it can analyze the answers that were given to you, right, based on the questions that it probably gave you to ask them during the interview. That's what I would do, and that's how I would do that to hire people.
Mark.
I love the second half of what he was talking about.
Ooh.
No, I didn't hate the first half.
Uh-oh.
No, I didn't hate the first half. The first half was good. But I want to go back to your question about how to vet them.
Yeah.
If I'm asking myself, again, I'm guilty. Y'all are going to leave this going, he doesn't know anything. He's just Chat GPT's representative. So what I would do is I would go on to Chat GPT and I'd say, hey, look, I'm not sure if I'm the easiest person to work with or for. And I want to make sure that I'm fair to the person that I hire. So tell me or help me create a way to vet people so that I'm sure we're a good fit. Ask me what you need to know from me. And I would have ChatGPT ask me the questions. I'd answer the questions. Then after I answer the question, it'll have an easy time helping me come up with a vetting system because that is a key piece. Everything else, I totally 100% am in complete agreement. I just want to make sure that I don't submit somebody to having to work with me that I'm bad for. Now, having said that, the easy answer, what are we doing? I need to, for that small business person, I need to know how to do the job. Mm-hmm. Then I need to hire somebody to do the job and let them do it. And understand that once I have hired them to do the job, I have one thing in this world that I'm supposed to do. I already gave them the expectation. My job is to block and tackle, remove obstacles, make things that are in their way not in their way. Hey, I want you to make, I'm making this up, I want you to make 110 dials per day. Well, then I probably should get a dialer. Or maybe write a script. Or maybe buy better leads. Or maybe, even advertise something where they're getting inbound calls. I need to make their chances of success greater by giving them the ultimate playing field. So they can go home and go, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to sell this stuff. I'm supposed to make 200 outbound calls and 150 called me. This is the easiest job in the world. And so I need to be doing that for them, running ahead. And they used to call it blocking and tackling, but I hate buzzwords. So removing obstacles.
So it's almost like you hired them to work for you.
But I work for them.
But then you work for them so that they work better for you. See what I did there?
Yes. And you know what Stephen Covey used to call that interdependence. Think about it. You guys are married 8 trillion years.
8 trillion.
The reason you were able to make it 8 trillion years is because you figured it out.
How many years have you been married, Marcus? We've been married 8 trillion.
40 trillion years.
No, you got to use Laura's new number word.
10 kabillion.
Kabillion.
Oh yes. Okay, then I've been married 6.5 kabillion years. But at the end of the day, you realize, because you show up with, what can I get? What can I get? What can I get? And then I don't care. No one can find happiness until they get past that and move into the, what should I be giving? What should I be giving? What should I be giving?
How can I serve you?
And when you do that, you do get.
It's almost like what God said in the Bible about those who serve, it being a good thing.
100%.
Is there a verse or two about that?
At least one. Yes.
Maybe 2.
Yes.
Servant leadership is a real thing, a biblical thing. Is that what we're trying to say?
It is a real. Jesus washed the feet of the guys who worked for him.
Yeah.
And betrayed him.
Yeah. That one too.
Wow.
He was better than me because he let that rascal out of the room. I'm kidding. Sort of.
No, that's really good. I appreciate that.
The only thing I would say is just make sure, if you didn't hear anything that we said today, this belief thing is important. Believe in your ability to do the work. Believe in your ability to do the task. Believe in your ability to embrace the technology. Whatever it is you have to do, just do it as if it were actually going to be a success, and things will change for you, especially on the days when you don't feel like it.
And for those people hiring people, right? Let them know that you're not paying them. They think that there's this misconception in that transaction, right? Employees think that employers pay them. Employers don't pay you. The customer of the employer pays you. And so if you can teach and show and help employees understand that you don't actually work for me, you work for our customers, they will be wildly better and you will get wildly better results. Like, it is a game changer for people's cognitive function on why they're doing things and how, like, those tasks and why they need done. So
is that why the lady or man, I hope it was the lady. Oh, I don't care either way. Sorry. I don't care. Don't cut it. But is that why they wrote the hearts on my cup?
I don't know.
Because they realized that the customer pays them, not Starbucks.
They may or may not understand that. Like, they may subconsciously understand that. They may
have
not
some natural gifts, maybe.
Well, potentially, or they're just like,
or they just love to doodle.
Right, they love to doodle, but
I like it better when I thought they cared about me.
Well, but if you think about it, like, when you were a manager somewhere, who were the best employees? The ones that did whatever it took to take care of the customer.
Talk about it, bro.
Right? Mm-hmm. Whatever it took to take care of the customer. Did they realize that the customer was like? Did they realize it in that detail that the customer was the person that was actually paying them? Maybe, maybe not. But that's what they were doing. Right on. Right? Whether or not they realized that at that level.
Who cares if they're naturally talented or not, as long as they're doing it.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. I'll take those people over talent all day, twice on Sunday.
Right on.
Like, people that they're going to kill themselves to serve the customer.
Right on.
All day. They're way
Which
better.
Which is a talent.
It is. It is a skill and a talent. Right. But I'll take them over the whatever super qualified person.
Right.
So that's all I got.
Apple Store, they get it right. They really, I've never seen that many people so good at what you're talking about.
Well, same with Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like.
But then does that come from how they're treated?
I think it would have to.
Oh, it has to partially.
It has to.
So it comes back to serving your people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I have to do both things as a manager, right? So I have to understand as a manager, the customer that pays the company is the most important, but the people that have the direct interaction with them or have direct interaction with the product that is going to that customer, they're the most important person.
So you value the customer and you value your employees, but if you notice, you don't put in that sentence of I'm going to put myself at the top of that value.
There's no point.
It's not. It is not even about you. You're the shepherd. So if the lion kills you while trying to protect the sheep, you've done your job. Right. It is not save yourself, sheep. I'll be up here in this tree.
I'll be safe.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's no point.
Nope.
Because the reality is like, your life will become infinitely easier if you focus on those two things anyway.
You'll also become infinitely more wealthy if you focus on those two things.
Well, yes. Yes, that as well. But like I know, like, as a supervisor, my guys would, to steal a line from my old Italian buddy, they would take a bullet for me. Right?
It's from a movie. I'd take a bullet for you.
I don't think it was from a movie.
I thought it was.
No, it was just from some crazy dude that he knew. So anyways, but like, if they take a bullet for me, what are we talking about? Like, I don't need to work that hard. The only thing I need to work hard at is helping them. And if I do that, the rest is easy.
That is where their joy comes from, is letting them be the most. And giving them an arena to perform their excellence is what makes them love you.
Yep.
Going into the arena with them and saying, "Hey, give me that sword. I got this.
I got this."
That is annoying. Nobody wants that. Yeah. Or standing outside the arena and say, "No, don't do that with your shield. Do this with your shield." It's like, no, you stay up there in the box and watch me do this with excellence. That's what fires people up. If you can't do that, then you probably shouldn't have any employees.
That part. Exactly.